Hey guys, it's Meredith. I'm back and I'm here to talk to you today about using ultrasound for vascular access. So, if you're like me, when you pick up an ultrasound and put it on a patient, you're wondering, what the heck am I looking at? So, I've drawn out this cartoon schematic to sort of explain what we are looking at. So, the purple is the probe, the green is the beam that the probe's sending out, and then this is sort of the skin, the vein, and the artery. So you have the probe sitting on the skin, and it's important to remember that that beam of ultrasound waves only goes straight down. So you're only looking at what's directly going to be in the pathway of the beam. So if you tilt the probe and angle it forward or backward, then you're going to be moving your beam. So that's why it's really important when you're starting out to keep it perpendicular with the beam going straight down. So in the cross-sectional view, there's the skin, then the vein, then the artery, and you're just going to see right through that one area. You're not really seeing in front or behind it because, again, it's just exactly where the beam goes is what you're seeing. So here I've drawn on one side the short axis view and on one side the long axis view. And so again, the first thing you're going to see is the skin because that's the closest thing to the probe. And then this big old purple thing I'm drawing in here is just a vessel. Could be either a vein or an artery. But I want you to know that it's a circle in the cross section and that it's a long line in the long axis. The other thing I want to point out is these tick marks, which on the ultrasound are actually going to correspond to depth. So those tick marks are going to tell you how far down your vein actually is. So here you can see that the vessel is at 2 centimeters depth. The reason this matters is because it's the whole basis for how we're going to set up our needle. So now we're going to think back to high school and remember a graph and say the skin of your patient is the x-axis and that blue line I've drawn straight down is going to be the beam of your ultrasound probe. There's your vessel. The middle of that circle is where you want to aim your needle. And to do that, if you start your needle 2 centimeters back, knowing that the center of the vessel is 2 centimeters down, then by Pythagorean theorem, if you go at a 45-degree angle, you should hit the center of the vessel, no trouble. So at this point, you found the center of your vessel. You said, okay, it's 2 centimeters. So I'm going to start my needle 2 centimeters back from my ultrasound, and I'm going to go in at a 45-degree angle. But now what? How do you get there? So what I want to show you is what the picture looks like with the ultrasound in a short axis and what's also going on in the long axis. Remember, where you put your probe is the only place that you're going to see because the beam is just going to go straight down. So from a side view, but you're holding it in short axis, it's just cutting through this one spot where the center of the vessel is 2 centimeters down. So you want to start your needle 2 centimeters back from your probe on the skin and again go at a 45-degree angle and you should end up right in the center of that vessel. So sure, you could just do this, make your measurements, place your needle 2 centimeters away, and then go at a 45-degree angle and never move the ultrasound. But then it's kind of like going blind. So while we have the ultrasound and the ability to see what we're doing, why don't we watch our needle as it goes in? So here's what I call the inchworm technique. So now once you've entered the skin, you take your ultrasound and you actually move the probe where it's right on top of the needle. In your cross-sectional view, you should now see your needle immediately under the skin. That is called the tip of the needle. Now we want to follow with the ultrasound moving a little bit forward at a time as we move our needle a little bit forward at a time. So that's why I call it the inchworm technique. You're inching forward with your probe and then you follow that with your needle, all the while following your tip so that it kind of looks like this, where you lose it, find it, lose it, find it, all the way until you're back where you started and you see yourself right in the middle, exactly where you wanted to be. Now, what if you go too fast with your needle? You may still see it in cross-section, but it might be further, aka you went through and through. So if this happens and you can't find the end of the tip of the needle, then you just move your probe forward, continue to inchworm, you'll find it, and then pull it back until it's in the vessel. All right, so we've talked a lot about theory, but let me show you how it works. In the video, the left-hand side of the screen is the ultrasound probe, and the right-hand side is the ultrasound screen itself. So I've slowed the video down so I can show you step by step. So as you can see on the screen, the center of the vessel is around maybe 3 centimeters deep. So I want to make my needle in the center where that tick mark is, but then pull it back and now push in at a 45-degree angle. That's the Pythagorean theorem part. Now I've moved the probe up to on top of the needle and you can see the tip of my needle. I'm now going to move the probe tip forward until I see where my needle tip goes away. Then I'm going to push forward with the needle until it comes into view. And then I'm going to repeat that step over and over, moving the probe forward and then needle into view, probe forward, needle into view, until I pop into my vessel. Now I pull back on the plunger and get flash to confirm that indeed I am in the vessel. So in summary, find where your vessel is, put your needle back the same depth that it's deep, move the probe to find the tip, and then use the inchworm method, probe forward followed by needle forward until you follow the tip all the way to the center of the vessel, pull back, and you're in. All right, y'all, that's all I got. This concludes our video on tips for ultrasound-guided vascular access. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, as always, at mkgreer@emory.edu. Thank you. P.S. We didn't talk about longitudinal vascular access in this video, so if that's something y'all are interested in, let me know and I can make a second video on that. Thanks.